Welcome, everyone, and welcome to the Elgin Sports Hall of Fame Foundation Conversation. Yours truly, Jeff Myers, with you. We're talking baseball with three Elgin Sports Hall of Fame members. They're Larkin members, the great squads they have, and we'll get a chance to hear from Rick Short. He's class of 1991 Larkin. He, of course, was drafted by the Baltimore Orioles in 1994. A great /4 average hitter. He won 2 championships in the Pacific Coast League batting average-wise, and in Japanese, 2 as well, and he's a lifetime 400 major league hitter. Also, we'll talk with our good friend Ryan Sienko, class of 1993 with Larkin. He, of course, would go to the University of Iowa. They played for the Texas Rangers and the Chicago White Sox, also the Schaumburg Flyers, and he's the first man ever inducted into the Joliet Jackhammers Hall of Fame. Ryan Sienko is with us. Also, from the class of 2000 for Larkin and class of 2010 for the Elgin Sports Hall of Fame, we'll hear from Ryan McKenna. Ryan is not only a baseball star, he was quite the soccer star, if we can say that, for both St. Edward and for Larkin. 14 home runs he hit in his senior year at Larkin High School. Went on to play for a college that produces all kinds of major leaguers, Arizona State University. Those are our 3 guests here. We're excited to talk baseball with Larkin stars here tonight on the Elgin Sports Hall of Fame Foundation and our conversation. Rick Short, we're going to talk with you first if we can. If we see from Rick Short here as we move that camera around, as we begin to speak here. I'm seeing my Elgin Sports Hall of Fame recognition there. Rick Short, of course, an outstanding star, as we mentioned, 1991 class of Larkin. He, of course, would be drafted by the Orioles on June 2 of 1994, signed with them 1 week later. He went on to play with 5 different organizations in baseball and would go to a great moment in 2005 in the major leagues. Rick, can you see me? We're going to put you on camera, I think. Ben Erickson will put you on camera, I do believe. There you go, outside. You're in Peoria, Illinois. Is that right, Rick? Rick, are you all right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm
Did you
good.
like
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Yeah, you look great. You're currently the batting coach of the Jackson Generals. Is that right?
That's
and we saw
right.
you King County Cougars a couple years ago as well for the Cougars. Tell me, the off season's so strange. What's your day look like now? You're just at home, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, as far as the baseball industry is concerned, I mean, it's pretty much we've hit the pause button here, as I'm sure a lot of people have with their lives, and you know, it's just a chance to for us to reflect as a staff. So there's been a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of conference calls, a lot of different learning things, you know, teaching skills, and you know, just trying to stay connected with the players as they're scattered throughout the world, and just try to keep everybody connected somehow.
Well, Rick, we love your work. In 2015, you were inducted into the Elgin Sports Hall of Fame. We were proud to introduce you and say hello to you at that time. And of course, you are born in Elgin on December 6, 1972, I believe. Is that correct? All right.
That's
now
correct.
We're at the stage where, now, as you began your career, you went from, tell me those 2 great years. You hit 427 one year in the 90-91 seasons for Larkin. Those were good years, weren't they?
Those were real good years. I mean, just thinking back on the guys that we had there, and you know, the tradition that Elgin baseball had back then, and just having a chance to play with some incredible players, you know, both at Larkin and against players at Elgin High. It always brought out the best because baseball was pretty strong when I was growing up.
That's great. Right there, I must tell you this story. I don't know if I've told this. Ben might know it. I became a WRMN announcer in January of 1990. So we do your 3-game series, I think, on May 15, 16, and 17 of that year. I did the game at the Larkin Field. In those days, you could see the field from the street right next to it. So I'm doing the game. I plugged in an Armada unit to my lighter in the car. So I'm doing the game standing up. I apparently talked with a couple of kids coming home from school. The police dropped in and wondered what I was doing. That was one of your games, Elgin against Larkin in May of 1990. That's my introduction to your career.
I appreciate
I've been waiting all these 30 years to tell you that story. So, Rick, talk about the great coach you had there at Larkin, your great coach. Some of your good memories of that.
Yeah, so I had a chance to play for Terry Shabert, and you know, I fortunately I was brought up as a sophomore, so I actually got 3 years with Terry. Yeah, and I mean, like I said, just the players that I got to play with, the teams that we had, they were always kind of primed to make a long run in the postseason and the playoffs, and that all culminated my senior year when we made it downstate. You know, we lost our first game, but I believe it might have been one of the first teams in Larkin history to make it to a state tournament. And it was just kind of a cool way to top off a nice career at Larkin.
Now, you were raised in South Elgin, so tell me about some of the Little League participation or the lower league participation had in our area.
Yeah, so I grew up in South Elgin. I played in the local league, but I always kept track of the teams in Elgin. Particularly I remember like in the early '80s, the All-Star teams from Trout Park making runs to the Babe Ruth World Series, and me and my dad would always go out to the Legion games, post '57, and watch those teams because they were always strong. And I just kind of grew really, close to Elgin baseball, and I always wanted to kind of make the jump from South Elgin to Elgin. And at 13 years old, I ended up going up to Trout Park, and the rest kind of that brought me to Larkin, and yeah, the rest is history.
That's great. Tell me about this story. This is kind of a sidebar one, not baseball related. One of your good friends all your life is Jeff Turner, is he not? Jeff Turner?
He's one of your good friends. Really well. Yeah,
he of course is a great chef, great community man. Now he tells a story that at Clinton School, first day of school, you push him down the hill. Is that a true story? Do you remember that story?
I don't really remember that, no, but I remember we used to get after each other pretty good.
Well, I said, thank heavens you didn't turn him into anybody and he became a major leaguer. Rick, your story's so good. Again, we've done this many times. You're a 4-hit lifetime hitter, major league 6 for 15 with the 2005 Washington Nationals. You get 6 hits off of pitchers, as we've done this so many times, even on the radio, who won 794 games. That's incredible. You're the most efficient hitter in the history of baseball. There's only 20 guys who had a season who hit 400, but how many guys have hit 400 in a season, the partial, and got those great number of hits off of those Tommy Glabbins and Smoltz and guys like that? That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it was an incredible experience. Like you said, it's a small sample size, but whenever you get just a brief moment to make an impact, make an impression on somebody, you got to take advantage of it. And I thankfully did that. And like you said, I got to face some great pitchers, and I got some good stories. So.
Oh, Dontrell Willis is the weakest pitcher you faced. He only won like 72 games in the majors. Everybody else, even Joel Pinero, I think his son is now a factor in college ball, high school ball. Your first hit comes off of Joel, does it not? When you pinch hit in June 10th of 05, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was off Joel Pinero, and I was a guy that I'd faced coming up through the minor leagues, so I was pretty familiar with him. But yeah, on the big stage, it was a little bit different because the nerves were definitely there, and the adrenaline was flowing.
I heard you talk about the time the skipper Frank Robinson says you're starting and they're throwing Smoltz tomorrow. That'd be a moment for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was my welcome to the big leagues moment. It was like a Sunday. It was a Sunday day game. First of all, it was a Saturday night, and I was just kind of hanging out in my locker. I hadn't played that night, and the bench coach came up to me and said, "You're in there tomorrow." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Who are we facing?" He goes, "Smoltz." And that was kind of my welcome to the big leagues moment. Like, okay, this is no joke. That guy's pretty good.
Oh, it's wonderful. Getting goosebumps. Ben Erickson and I, our dream was to at least make a bat in the major leagues. So you've attained that and more. Now when you got the offer after you went 6 for 15 with those 05 Nats, you got a great offer to return to Japan, did you not?
I did. Yeah, I had a 2-year offer to head over to Japan, and I kind of waited out. I talked to Jim Bowden, was the general manager of the Washington Nationals at that time, and I kind of had a talk with him, and he was very upfront with me. He said I was probably going to be an up and down guy, and the contract in Japan was guaranteed money, and at that point, I think I was 32 years old, and it was time to make a little bit of money off the game, and so it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up, so I took it, and I ended up doing the next 4 years over there.
That's great. No, one of my fond moments when we were doing St. Edward football, Coach Rowe, you would text Coach Rowe and say, "I'm listening here. It's like midnight or 2 a.m. in Japan, but we're enjoying whatever it was. Tomorrow, day after tomorrow, as Harry would say, whatever it was, you were listening to those games because Mike Rolando, of course, one of your good friends, same class of 1991, he would be."
Yeah, I had to stay connected with him and listen to his games, and it was a little bit of a sacrifice staying up, but. You're talking about a guy who was the best man in my wedding, and he always told me, he said, when you make it to the big leagues, no matter where it's at, you call me, and I'm gonna make it there. And sure enough, he stuck to his words. He was in the seat that night that I got my first hit.
Oh, that's great. That's great. You went to Western. Now, you had a season where you got 60 hits, and Western's produced some pretty good baseball talent. That was a team record, so you had a good run down there at Macomb, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I mean, what contributed to that record at the time was, I broke into the lineup as a freshman. I think like the third game of the year, one of our guys slid into home and sliced his hand open. Had to have stitches and everything, and that was kind of my chance to get in the lineup. And I never let go of my spot, and I think that probably contributed to having a few records down there. Because if you're playing, obviously you can accumulate numbers, and numbers equals records. So yeah, I guess that's how it all unfolded.
You had a unique moment. I believe this is a true story. When you signed with the Orioles, somewhere along in the Oriole chain, Rashad Stewart, Elgin High grad, was your teammate. Tell me about that.
And not only was he my teammate, he was my roommate.
That's great. Really, two Elgin guys together in the minors.
It was really cool because we were both, just breaking into pro ball and trying to go through all the, adjusting and everything. So we got to do it together as a familiar face. And yeah, we lived together, and it was awesome seeing him because I always played against him, and he's an awesome guy. So I hope he's doing well too.
Oh, he's doing well. We see him every now and then. He's a great trivia question because he didn't make the majors, but he was involved in a trade that involved two major leaguers. One of them was Joe Borowski. So he's a great trivia question with that. So that's kind of fun. Well, one more as we talk with Ed Western. I have a Western question for you, kind of related to it. There's only one right-handed pitcher in Major League history that gave up a home run to both Barry Bonds and Hank Aaron. Do you know who it is? Only one right-handed pitcher. Think about your background for a moment now. I'm slanting this to your Western background.
I'm going to have to say Rick Russell.
Oh, you're a genius, young man. Yeah, Rick Russell gave up a home run. He's the only right-handed Major League pitcher to do both. He, of course, he was born in Quincy, Illinois, went to Western Illinois, Camp Point Central High School down the road from that town, and had a great career. His brother, Paul, was also a major leaguer as well. Do you miss Elgin?
Yeah, I do. I do miss Elgin. I still have some family back there. My sister lives in South Elgin, so I get back from time to time. But when I retired from playing, I started scouting right off when I got off the field, and so for 7 years I scouted. So my scouting trails brought me back to Elgin quite a bit. Pretty much everybody has moved on. So there was really no hanging out or anything like that. But there's always strong players in that area. So my scouting trails definitely ran through there.
I remember when you signed with the Orioles, we came over. I've been a broadcaster here for centuries, it seems, by some folks. We came to your South Elgin house to talk with you. Do you remember that? We came to your home.
I do remember that. Absolutely, yeah.
That was fun. That was fun for us as well. Well, congratulations. We enjoy your career. You're going to stay with us because you can quiz the other guys whatever you want. If you want to heckle Ryan Sienko. Do you have a quick Ryan Sienko story of any sort? He would be a sophomore when you were a senior.
Oh, man. I don't know. I don't know if I have any good stories about Ryan, but we have crossed paths. We have crossed paths on the professional coaching trail. So if I do get a hold of one, you'll be the first one I get in touch with.
All right. Well, Rick Short, we appreciate that. You stay with us. We appreciate that. And congratulations. You're Elgin Sports Hall of Fame. Your great career. We're always proud of it. We're excited of all the stories that you tell us. And with the Jackson Generals, so if we get back to baseball, you're back in the hitting instructor there. So congratulations.
Yeah. I appreciate you having me, Jeff.
What's your hat say?
It's just Adidas.
Oh, well, they're giving you $25 for this interview tonight, aren't they? I wish you seen this on the air.
I wish I was at that level, but unfortunately I'm not.
All right, Rick Short, thanks. Stay with us. We appreciate that.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Delighted to hear from you. We love your work and your great career. So now we're going to say hello to Ryan Sienko. Ryan Sienko, of course, as you know, would be the class of 1993 out of Larkin High School. Ryan went on to a fine minor league career, but right now he's the catching coordinator for the LA Dodgers. When the Will Smiths and guys like that are doing so well, they've been under the tutelage of Ryan Sienko. Ryan, we want you to appear on the camera right there. Can we do that, Ben? And Eric, let's see Ryan Sienko here.
I'm here.
Just a little bit. You're here? I hear a voice. There we have it. And Ryan is there. Talk to us again, Ryan.
I'm here.
There you go. There you are. You're out in Arizona. How's the weather out there, young man?
We've got a nice little breeze going. It's good golf weather right now. So
yeah, you're a great golfer. You'd always come. You came back a lot of times, or at least one time in recent years for the golf event for the Sports Hall of Fame. Did you not, sir? That was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a blast.
I remember you looked around and said, "Man, there's so much more action on Randall Road and things like that." When you came back.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been in. I mean, literally the day I left, we were playing in a regional for the Post 57. and I went straight to college. My mom, my stepdad moved literally that day. So I haven't lived in Elgin since like
93.
the day I left for college.
You went to University of Iowa. Tell me about how it was at Iowa baseball wise for you.
It was great. I mean, shoot, we had some really good players and had a great time. It's an amazing place. Anybody that like goes out there or spends any time at University of Iowa has an amazing experience. It's not just cornfields, that's like,
oh, sure. No, it's great.
It's an amazing place. I get back there quite a bit. Probably 2-3 times a year I go check in with those guys, and they've got a really good coaching staff now with Rick Heller and Marty Sutherland and Robert Lund and the crew. They're doing really a great job there.
Wonderful. As we always say, once a Hawkeye, always a Hawkeye. Isn't that right?
Absolutely.
That's right. You tell me when you first played in the Texas Ranger organization. Tell me about those days a little bit, right out of school.
Well, it's different. It's different now. I think Rick can probably attest to this as well. Like, it's a totally different game than it used to be, especially coming from the catching side, where you had 70 pitchers and like 6 catchers, where you literally would catch. That's all we did in spring training. You'd catch. And that was basically all you did. And now it's just a totally different game. I mean, the amount of care and that we give to the guys, and we understand like their career is more than them just sitting back there and retrieving balls. Like,
sure.
It's just such a different beast than it used to be. Mediocre at best for me, but I learned a lot, had a lot of great mentors, a lot of great people I played with, and had an amazing experience there along with the other stops.
You were able to come up with your catch and throw business company pretty much as a young man, were you not? Tell me how that evolved. Yeah,
so I got done playing, and I'm not sure what it was, 2004, 2005, something like that. And I immediately went and started working with Tom House, the pitching guy.
Oh, yeah.
I had moved to San Diego a few years prior, and he had just started National Pitching Association, so I was kind of like a sponge. And Tommy and I mean, he's like a second dad to me. We traveled, we did all the camps, we had the lab. We did all of those kind of like techie things before that was even a thing in baseball. And I learned so much from the man, and not only how to teach, but then how to deal with people, the communication skills, and then separately all of the tech and how to use tech to your advantage. And that's definitely carried over into what we do, present day.
Yeah, and I've seen you've got many speeches up on YouTube, so you can address the crowd and talk about catching and throwing and framing and everything, can't you? You're not afraid of those crowds.
The one thing that I think Tommy taught me was, give everything away, right? This is not yours. None of it's yours. You're borrowing it from, everyone else. And I think by giving all of your information or putting all of your information out there, it allows you to be tested and, have good discussions and have good debates, and people could disagree, but then it also pushes you to be better. And I think that's something that we've brought, years ago now, in my current position is, especially with all the metrics and stuff that go along with the framing stuff, that's allowed us to get to where we were kind of ahead of the whole, of many teams by pushing years before. So, I don't regret ever giving anything away. And there's a lot of guys that I've helped along the way and have helped me. And I think it's just made our position better,
Weren't you close to Chicago White Sox catcher Ron Karkovice? Wasn't he a factor in your early career or in your career somewhere?
No, I've actually never met him. I wish I did, man. I love him.
Really? I thought he was. I thought it was a fact. John, it sounded like a good story.
No, yeah.
But catching
the closest thing I had, my first start at Iowa as a catcher, was at ISU, and Carlton Fisk is in the other dugout, and that's like my idol of all time, you know.
Yeah.
And I had a really good game, and it was really awesome. I got to meet him afterwards, and you know,
Wonderful.
at that point, that's like the pinnacle of everything when you get to meet like your baseball hero, and I thought that was pretty neat. And I also later on played with Pete Rose Jr. I got to meet his dad, so like the two guys that I kind of idolized as kids, I got to play in front of and do well. So that's kind of like
That's great.
it's kind of a cool thing.
We mentioned Joe Bonkowski. I think that's his name. He was once traded for Pete Rose Jr. So we're tying these stories in with Rick Short as well, because for a while I think Pete Rose Jr. was a Cougar for a handful of days or whatever before that trade came about. So those are good stories. And we wanted to mention you're catching coordinator for the Dodgers. You not only are always in camp, but you travel all over the globe, don't you, with that?
Yeah, I do a lot of work. Not only I help with their scouting department for the draft with the catchers. It's a little different this year. Obviously, it's been more video analysis. In the past, I've done like scouting, what Shorty had to do. Man, I have the utmost respect for anybody that is in that profession. That is a hard, lonely, tedious job that I think goes way underappreciated on what these guys have to do. It is their job to find people, and they do a great job with it. But that wears on me way more than the travel I do to the affiliates and seeing, the players that we already have. That's the easy part for me, man. Just having the relationships with our guys and getting to hang out with them and work with them. That's the fun stuff. But finding the good players, man, I don't know how they do it. I really do not know how
your Dodgers are great at drafting, and you're handling Will Smith and other catchers they've used for trade, and you've seen some good ones in your short time there, haven't you?
Yeah, we've had great. Listen, our scouting department kicks ass. So our international group, our amateur group, they do such an amazing job of giving us great players that we're just fortunate to be able to work with. Like, just
great.
Take any credit away from Will or Austin or Connor Wong, who got traded for Mookie, and that's silly for us to try to take credit. These are great players that we are really fortunate to work with. That's the easy. I'm telling you, that is the easy part, is working with the guys. It's forming the relationships and gaining the trust of the guys. That's the hard part. I think that's the art of coaching at the professional level, because, when you're in high school, like Shorty said, we played for Shapes. Like, the guy, I had, all I wanted to do was play for him. So whatever he said, I did, and then you get to college and you're really at the mercy of your coach, because he controls your entire career. Here, we're just here to help facilitate whatever we can to help the guys go forward, and it's a collaboration, and I think that's the most fun part of our job.
That's great. In your days at Larkin, as you mentioned there a little bit, you won the conference all 4 years you were there. Is there any game that stands out, any moments that stands out for you in your Larkin days?
We were just all riding McKenna too, man. We were all riding Shorty and all those guys.
Rightfully so.
They just intimidated everybody, and then we all of a sudden had to come and clean up the mess at the end, man. It started a long time ago before us. Yeah, man, I played with great players, with Schroeder and Ziesmer and Mike Ite and all these guys that went on and had like really good college and pro careers. We were really fortunate. I got to play with Rashad in Legion.
That's great. That's great
that
stuff.
Was back when I don't know exactly how it is now, but man, we had some really good players, and it was a blast. And we knew how to win, and I think we really did benefit from guys like Rick and
Sure.
the guys who were with him or even before him in that program that was just set the culture to win. And it goes back. I mean, Jeff, you don't know this, but like, I was really fortunate when I was really young that at Shar and Dale Stevens' house, where they had a pool, Rick and Mike Orlando and some of those like other guys, I was the young kid, and they let me play wiffle ball with them.
Oh boy!
In those kind of environments,
that's great.
Growing up, I was getting my butt kicked by those guys, and I never actually. That's the only time I ever got to play with somebody like Rick. So
That's wonderful.
that was a
I would
long
be happy
time.
to play in those wiffle ball games. That's great. Hey, you've done some coaching now. Now you were at the high school level. You were like an assistant to Kurt McCaskill one year, were you not? Didn't you do that once in California?
So I coached high school for I think 9 years total, or eight or 9 years total. I got sick of the parents and quit the coaching gig, and I called Mac up and said, "Hey man, I'm going to quit. Can I come over and assist you, because I still want to coach, but I don't want to do it with parents anymore." So yeah, I did that. It was 1 or 2 years before I got the job with the Dodgers, but yeah, Mac and I are good friends. I actually texted him.
Wonderful. I was there the night.
His oldest just turned 30, so I told him he was an old man yesterday.
Yeah, well, he was a fine. He was an angel and had about 4 or 5 years with the Sox, but he was the winning pitcher. I think I'm there on the September 27th of '93, which is the Bo Jackson home run. I think he's the winning pitcher that clinches the title for the division that year. If not, it's a good story. I've got a trivia question for you. You're born September 16th, 1975. Is that correct? Are you born that day?
Correct.
Okay. In baseball, something that was never achieved before and since happened on your birthday. Can you, young man, in a window of time of a minute or less, tell me what that was for our Jeopardy question? Happened on your birthday. It's an amazing baseball feat. On September 16th, 1975.
The birth of a mediocre player and coach. That's about all I got.
No, you're to a sensational coach and a tremendous talent in all venues as a teacher. That became you. But on that day, I'll give you a hint. On that day, Ben will be a little irritated here. On that day, Pittsburgh defeated the Cubs, I should say. No interleague Ben. Pittsburgh defeats the Cubs 22-0. Somebody does something in that game for the Pirates that has never been done before and since. Can you do it?
I have no idea.
First of all, for the sake of Rick Short, the pitcher who started that game was, you guessed it, Rick Russell. He lasted 1/3 of an inning. He got blasted out. And the first, it's a 7-hit game by Rennie Stennett. Never done before, never done since. He went 7 for 7 in a 9-inning game, if you will. Rennie Stennett on that day. The last hit, the 7th hit, came off of Paul Russell. So Russell's everything tonight, as far as that's concerned. Your birthday, young man, so that makes it very interesting.
I feel like 7 hits. That's like a good 2 weeks.
That's right. Right. All right. We're moving along to Ryan McKenna. Ben in the truck must be telling me we have to move along to you, Ryan. We're having so much fun, Ryan.
Oh, good. I'm just sitting back listening. This is great.
All those are great stories, aren't they? We love our baseball, and I know you do. Your career was since you were such. First of all, let's touch on your soccer ability. It was incredible. Tell me how that evolved.
So I just grew up, playing indoor soccer, outdoor soccer. My dad was my coach, and just kind of developed a lot of friendships early on, and just really stuck with it over the years, and just kind of had a knack for it. It was more of just a natural ability with soccer. I never really kind of did what I did in baseball for all the training. I kind of I played soccer really to get in shape for baseball, but I loved it so much. I just, did well with it, and I love to compete. And I love to score goals too. So it was fun. We had some fun years, just growing up, travel ball, and St. Ed, and it was some great teammates and some fun rides there.
I would think you won. Larkin, you had 5 goals. I think that's still a record for the school, but you had a 5-goal game. I think at Larkin, was it? Now you had 2 years at St. Edward, then you transferred to Larkin. That's how that went, wasn't it?
Yeah, and actually the 5 goals were against St. Ed's, so I had to kind of kick things off with the transfer. But hey, we were competing, and we were just trying to win the game. You're
a great. We're talking with great stars tonight, but you're a great natural hitter. You have 14 home runs in your senior year for Larkin, do you not, sir? In that season of 2000, it would it not? Way back when.
Yeah.
Great power.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy because I never really thought of myself as like a power hitter. I mean, I was just trying to get on base, and but yeah, I mean, looking back on it, I think probably having Jason Richardson just ahead of me, kind of, looking at what he did. We had some great hitters kind of back, I mean, in many areas of Larkin baseball, but it was just fun. And I was just trying to kind of, make good contact, and I got lucky a few times, and yeah,
That's good stuff. Ryan McKenna, Ryan, we're talking about some of your early moments through the early leagues in Elgin. Tell me about some of that baseball and soccer wise. Ryan McKenna.
So baseball, yes, he started off with the Elgin Classic and kind of worked my way up to travel baseball when I was 13, played for the Fox Valley Royals. That was a lot of fun. We played in a ton of tournaments, traveled all over the country, and really helped complement, I think, my Elgin baseball career because I was able to go out and play a lot in the summer. And I played in Larkin Summer League too. So I got in as much baseball as I could, got in as much practice and games. And yeah, it was just, kind of a great experience kind of leading in. And then with soccer, as we were talking about earlier, that was just a fun sport to play. It kept me in really good shape and got me, ready for the baseball season. So I decided at the end of my sophomore year to stop playing basketball because I wanted to have that time to be able to lift, work out, and get ready for the baseball season. So the combination of soccer and baseball, I think, worked out well. And I had a blast playing both sports. I love both sports, but my heart was always in baseball. That was the one that I focused more on. And it was the one that I felt like I, had the best chance to go on and play at the next level.
You were such a natural hitter. Of course, you went on to Arizona State University, and they're a college power, and everybody almost goes pros from those teams every year. So that was a great school to go to, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a dream come true. I mean, I never thought they'd find a kid from Elgin, like they handpick, whoever they want. I mean, I was part of the #1 recruiting class in the country back in 2000, and just 17 guys that came in with me. I mean, 16 of them went pro after Arizona State, after their careers there. So it was just phenomenal talent. And I just felt lucky to have the opportunity. And I kind of still pinch myself every once in a while just to, it was great to be part of that, that team and that university and just all the history and tradition. And so I made the most of my experience there and have some great friendships, great relationships that I still cherish today.
Who you keep in contact with from that team, from those guys? Who you keep in contact with?
There's a couple of my good buddies, Garrett Schoenberg and Nick Walsh. They kind of came in right when I did. There's some I talk to a little bit more infrequently because they're busy, but guys like Dustin Pedroia, Andre Ethier, I mean, there's some good guys that some big names out there that
that's great.
Busy guys don't get to catch up as much as we used to, but it's just fun to follow everyone and see how they're doing and just watch their careers. As a lot of them have been able to play for many years.
That's great. Now, Dustin, we claim we have a local tie, and I think I'm correct with this. Did Dustin not marry an Elgin High girl?
He married Kelly Hatley. She was
incredible.
A close neighbor of mine, and I'll never forget the day where she went to Elgin Community College and called me up, and she was going to be transferring to Arizona State, and she said, "Hey, Ryan, I don't really know anyone there. You seem to, be very well situated, and you might introduce me to a few of the guys." And I said, "Hey, no problem." So,
that's wonderful.
Long story short, she marries Dustin Pedroia, and the rest is history. So it was really cool to, kind of have that connection because I talked to Kelly a lot too, just because, that growing up being my neighbor and going to, high school with her. Kind of really, really cool how that all came together.
That's one of your best sidebar stories. That's a wonderful story. Yeah. You have the pictures up with that. That's great. Congratulations for setting that up. That was
nice. Dustin still owes me. I'm waiting for a finder's fee.
That's wonderful to say the least. Now you had a strange ailment. Tell me about the ailment you had in college that curtailed. You would have been the 17th man to go pro.
Yeah, and then the one guy who didn't go pro was me. And just really tragic story because I worked my whole life to get to a place where I could, give myself the best shot to go to the next level and to go play at Arizona State. I mean, it was, the best out there, and they've got more major league draft picks than any other Division I school. And this was, I knew it was going to be tough going there, but I knew if I stuck with it and worked my butt off that, I really felt like I'd have a shot. And quick story kind of leading into this, but my freshman year, I didn't really realize this at the time that, I thought you're there, you have a scholarship, you're playing. I didn't know it was like another mini tryout, but I was kind of dueling out the fourth outfield position with another freshman classmate of mine. And Coach Murphy sat me and this other individual down and right in front of me, he cut Andre Ethier, who had a long career Ryan with the Dodgers. And,
Wow.
it was kind of my first experience to ASU baseball, and I couldn't believe it because this is a guy that had unbelievable talent, so much power, but he just maybe at the time coach felt like the best thing for him was to go to junior college to get a lot of at bats, because just being the fourth outfielder, fifth outfielder at ASU, I mean, you're going to spot start, play here and there, and but he, right in front of Andre, he said, Ryan, we feel like you're going to be part of the mix. You're going to play this year a little bit, and it was a very uncomfortable moment, but who would have thought I'd trade shoes for Andre's baseball career any day over mine. But anyways, that just to kind of set the stage. So I ended up playing, starting here and there freshman year. Just happy to be contributing, and then my sophomore year, I started playing more games and was really working myself into position in the outfield. And then towards the end of the year, we were playing Stanford, and I ended up having to take myself out of the game. I just was not feeling right. I mean, I knew something was wrong, and I just didn't know what it was, but I'd never taken myself out of game before. And then, immediately got sick and had to go to the hospital. And long story short, they ended up finding out I had a blood platelet disorder called ITP. It's really similar to leukemia, lupus. So right then and there, it was very, very life-threatening. So I was dealing with something that, I mean, I couldn't overcome, and it was at the height of my career. I mean, being able to be starting at Arizona State and, going in your junior year where everyone gets drafted for the most part, and I'm literally being told by doctors I'll never play again. And I was in and out of hospitals for 6 months. I had to go up to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, because of how serious it was. And, at that moment, I just, doctors were like, you got to think about something else. And I didn't want to accept it, because I just, worked so hard to get there, and then to literally have it, ripped away from you because of some just really rare, disease that came along at the worst time of your life. So, I was very thankful to Arizona State, because I felt like, knowing what I know about the whole situation, just with, guys, now if you can't contribute, you're pretty much, not going to last long. They stuck with me. I mean, I did a medical red shirt. They helped me train, get my body back. And I was able to do, medical red shirt, and came back and played my senior year. And just to be able to get back on the field again was just, a win in of itself. And so, throughout those years, I kind of became a, off the field kind of cheerleader. I tried to help, my teammates who I knew were going to go on and play at the next level. And in a way, just kind of, to this day, live vicariously through them, because I couldn't do it. And even though I got to come back and play my senior year, I knew, and everyone else knew, that that was going to be it, finish school, move on, because we didn't know what really triggered my illness and my sickness, and going to try and play pro ball and doing all that travel and just what it would do to my body. It wasn't worth the risk. So I literally had to walk away, I mean, again, essentially, and give it up. And so it was really tough. But it's something that drives me today, knowing that, hey, I would have loved to go out on my own terms, but, sometimes life throws you a curveball and you got to react. And it's really helped me make the most out of other situations and chase other dreams. So that's the story that just, unfortunately, your life happens sometimes, and you just got to deal with it and have a good attitude. And, you get knocked down, you got to get back up.
It's quite a story. No question about that. You still had a lifetime average in college at 286, and you never made an error, did you? No errors in the outfield.
No, that's
yeah, all right. Don't be modest. Hey, we see you saw my backdrop here. We're actually in the Bruce Shipyard mobile studio here at home, but your backdrop has a couple of bats. Tell me what those bats are over your shoulder on the right side of me, on the left side of me, you.
Yeah, this one is from it's 2016 World Series. My Chicago Cubbies. It's signed by Ben Zobrist, who was the World Series MVP, and I actually got to play with him in my summer league.
That's right. Summer league. That's right. You didn't thought he was real. You thought he was just an average second baseman at that time, didn't you? I've heard about this.
Yeah, I mean, he was good, but I didn't expect him to go on and do what he did. I mean, it's amazing what he's been able to accomplish, and just the career he's had. I mean, it's just it's unbelievable. And I've come across that a lot in my baseball career, where some guys you think like, oh, they've got all the talent in the world, they're going to make it, and they don't. And then you see kind of these these average ball players that just got a lot of heart and great work ethic, that they somehow find their way, their path, and then they get their opportunity and they make the most of it. So, I kind of saw both sides of it, but Ben Zobrist is a great example of someone that, man, when you saw him play, you're like, this guy's good, but to see what he's been able to do, it's been unbelievable. And I'm just so happy I had that summer with him.
No question about that. That Cub ticket, of course, you were able to go to Cleveland for games 6 and 7. Isn't that correct with Dad?
So I went to so I got Cub season tickets. I went to game 3, 5, and then when they won game 6, I called my dad up and I said, we're going to game 7. Like, I don't care. I'm not missing this. And I take my number 1 fan with me. And I said, Dad, we're going. He's like, all right. So we got in the car, bought tickets, and that is probably the greatest sporting event memory I'll ever have in my entire life. And being a lifelong diehard Cubs fan, I mean, it just didn't get any sweeter than that. So, and to share that moment with my dad was pretty special. And just a great memory I'll cherish forever.
And you partied with the Clevelanders, didn't you? You partied. It was a late night thing, but you hung around there late at the game, didn't you?
Yeah, until they kicked us out of the stadium.
It's bound to happen eventually. 5 a.m., you're out of here.
Yeah, I mean, then we were just trying to find a place to, go celebrate. And by then, all the bars were shut down, so we couldn't even get a drink.
Oh, my.
We had to find a little pizza joint and got some food. But, I think Cleveland was going to go to bed. We were ready to party all night.
That's cute. Dad was going to win a World Series, can't even have a drink.
I know. We had to have one when we got home the next day.
You've gone into a very successful business life. Tell me about your business proceedings now a little bit.
Yeah, so I've taken a lot of just what I've learned in sports and my work ethic, determination, and really, when I was in the hospital, I was sick and the doctor's like, you'll never play again. I said, if I can't do it in the baseball world, I'm going to do it in the business world. So I really just took my motivation and just shifted it into the business world today. And I've got my own business that I run. It's McKenna Capital. We're a real estate investment and syndication firm. So we go out and buy investment properties, mainly apartments across the United States. And it's been fun to work with a lot of other investors and be able to kind of come full circle with, there's certain dreams and aspirations I had that I thought, if I made it in baseball, that might happen. But, I'm building that through my business and in real estate. And, it's just been fun to kind of start with nothing and then to kind of build it up just like you do your career in sports. And so kind of going through that right now, and it's a lot of fun and super passionate about it. And it's keeping me real busy now.
Congratulations. And you're in Glenview, is that right? Glenview?
Yeah, in Glenview.
You get back our way. You come out for the golf tournament when you can and to the dedication ceremonies and things like that, don't you?
Yeah, I'm out there. I think I've been to the golf outing every year. It's fun to get a foursome with my dad, my brother, my brother-in-law, and we love coming back to Elgin, just seeing everyone reminiscing, talking about the good old sports days and all the memories we can share. So it's something that I truly get excited for every year to be part of.
Ryan McKenna, class of 2000 for Larkin. In 2010, you become a member of the Elgin Sports Hall of Fame. We appreciate you talking with us. It's been fun. We like your dedication, and your spirit's always been a drive for us as well.
Thanks, Jeff.
I think we've covered much of your career, but I want to make sure that we've looked at all your young leagues when you were here at Elgin and things of that nature. So let's go back to you and take you back in time a little bit, that you enjoyed that so well. I know you talked about that. I'm going to see you in a moment, I think. Of course, this is our program. I couldn't take this time, but you see me in the mini form right there. This is what we call the Elgin Sports Hall of Fame Foundation Conversation, our maiden voyage here tonight. And we were reduced from a tablet to now I'm just talking to a phone to Ben, who's in Huntley, who's bouncing us all over the world, and Ryan McKenna, who is in Glenview, has apparently left us at this moment in time, unless he can't hear me right now. So we'll get a chance to swing it that way, as we have just a couple minutes left in the program. But we appreciate everybody who was involved. Rick Short, of course, born December 6, 1972, Elgin, Illinois. 400 batting average in the majors, 6 hits, 15 at bats. First game was June 10th of 2005. He went back down in the minors, came back in September, hit a home run off of Dontrell Willis, I believe, on September 7th. Got a hit off of Glavin, a home run off of that. He of course, if his season was projected, I saw this in one of the on the baseball sites. If his season was projected, he would play 162 games, bat about 259 times, but hit 29 home runs. he'd be a superstar. That's Rick Short. Ryan Sienko, we talked with, of course, who had all that time with Texas, the organization of the White Sox, a pro from 97 to 2004, enjoying his time. He is with the Los Angeles Dodgers right now. Ryan McKenna, I can hear you. I can hear you right there, I think. Are you there, Ryan?
I'm here.
All right. Can you hear me all right? No, if I don't sound good, I look worse. So that's how it works.
It's all good. I can hear you.
Tell me what I need to know. Anything you want.
No,
it's all you.
I'd say a special memory that I have just from my Larkin days. Again, going back to, it was fun playing with Jason Richardson. I was on base all 4 times. He hit his 4 home runs against Elgin, and that was just an individual performance that I've never been, any part of anything greater. And it was just really cool to be on the bases all 4 times, where he hit 4 consecutive. Actually hit 5 home runs. If you take the night before, we had a makeup game against St. Charles, and he hit a home run there, and then we went and played Elgin the next day, and he hit 4 in a row, and it was pretty amazing. And that's just a really cool, special memory I have.
That's great. That was May of 1999. I thought it was only 3, but it was 4. We must have left early. Again, we're there for the first 3. And Corey McFerrin scooped up that video from that time. So, and Jason went on to have a good career at ECC, did he not? He had a good couple of years with Elgin Community College, did he not?
Yeah, he did. I mean, he's super talented, and he was a great tennis player too. And yeah, he's just someone I always looked up to. He just was a great athlete. He still is today. Just watch him go hit a softball and do
That's
anything
great.
else. So yeah, so we had some fun times, and yeah, I miss those days. Getting out on the ball field. I mean, it's been a long time, and yeah, I one of these days I'll get back on a field and really kind of relive some of the glory days again. I've got a lot of special memories up here, and yeah, I was just thankful to be part of the Elgin Sports Hall of Fame and to be on this tonight with Ryan and Rick and yourself.
Oh, it's our treat. We enjoy your work. You're a tremendous credit to all of the society and all the work you do, and we appreciate that. We always love it when you come back to the Elgin Sports Hall of Fame events as well. We should get you and Jason together. You can kind of see who can hit the ball the furthest, maybe. We'll get that.
Yeah,
that somewhere.
That'd be fun.
All right. Well,
I'll challenge him to a golf ball. He could probably hit a baseball farther, but I think I could take him with a golf ball.
All right. We record it. He'll hear about that. Rick Short, can you hit a golf ball that far?
No, I stink at golf. I stink at golf. I only got time in my life for 1 swing. I can't do 2 swings. Forget that.
Well, guys, it's been our treat. It's our delight to see you guys again. We appreciate that. Ryan Sienko, good luck to you. We're probably keeping you up, not late in Arizona, but you got a work day tomorrow. And of course, Ryan McKenna, we appreciate that. And Rick Short, what are you going to do the rest of the night? Tell me what you're doing back down there in Peoria. What are you going to do?
Oh, man. Jeff, I'm an old man. It's bedtime.
That's right. Well, you're a wise man, young man. All right. Well, again, our treat for you to be a part of this first broadcast here in this first Zoomcast. Our Elgin Sports Hall of Fame Foundation, our initial cast of that was Conversation. And our guest, Rick Short, of course, is the great class of 91 for Larkin and went on to play for Western Illinois and into Major League Baseball. We have Ryan Sienko, class of 93 for Larkin, a member of the 4-year squad, all-conference team they were. And, of course, we saw Ryan McKenna, who is class of 2000 at Larkin and a 2010 induction in the Elgin Sports Hall of Fame. That's our initial one, Elgin Sports Hall of Fame Conversation. I'm Jeff Myers. We'll see you next time.